I'm Jack Howell, and this is my friend Tommy Thompson.
Hi.
And Tommy is a big part of the reason I came to Pittsburgh in the first place. You're the older brother I never had.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm older.
Yeah, and I've learned a ton from Tommy. Now, there's one specific thing, and we could do 10 videos, but almost every student who comes through my studio, at some point for probably the first 2 or 3 lessons, I tell them something, and I say, this is a Tommy Thompson drill. I learned this from Tommy Thompson in 1996. And I say, play an F major scale from low F to high C. Have it right so far?
Right.
Okay, so they'll do this.
Nice sound.
And then you tell them what?
Take the reed off. And what happens then, they look at me and say, are we on candid camera? Because they can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
And then I play the same thing without the reed.
Right. And here's what most students do.
You got it. You run out of air.
Yeah. And then what do you tell them to do?
You don't blow through the clarinet.
Yeah.
You can't blow through the clarinet, it's got too many holes in it. And then we always make the mistake of saying, what our band directors when we were young used to say, fill up the horn and
Put air through the horn.
You can't do it because you can't. It's got too many holes in it, and they put air through the horn. But it's not even a horn; it's a clarinet.
Yeah.
So we can't do that. What we're looking for is the speed of the air, and we can get that by playing on the syllable H, 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 S. It can be CH, anything which just gets a sizzle in the sound. And if you play it right, you'll hear you'll hear the entire scale.
And I promise students at this point that I'm blowing just as hard as if there were a reed there.
Right.
And that's the whole point, is to not use the resistance of the reed to blow against, it's to use the focus of your Airstream to blow against.
That's the whole thing. It's a woodwind instrument.
Yeah.
The wind is what's important.
And so then typically they'll do that a few times and they'll make it a little further each time.
Right.
And the nice thing about this exercise is that it's a little bit like push-ups. It's possible to do it wrong and not get the full benefit from it, but if you do it 50%, you'll still get some improvement.
Right.
You know, and so then they play the F major scale. If everything goes well.
Right.
And the student always goes, well, wow. Because if they don't make a couple of possible mistakes, their sound jumps.
Right. And you say that this is the way we do it all the time.
Yeah.
I once was given a lesson in Tokyo. We were on tour, and a friend of mine who's a second clarinet player in the Metropolitan Orchestra in Tokyo brought one of his students over, and we were in a hotel room, as you know how dead a hotel room is.
Yeah.
And there was about 5 of us in there, and I asked him to do the same thing, and his eyes got as big as saucers. I mean, he said, oh, it's just a pure joy of hearing a sound and not working any harder. In fact, you work less
Yeah. So where this can go wrong, it can go wrong if students, when they do the exercise, they fake this and they kind of somehow cram their lips up into the mouthpiece to sort of make resistance up here. I've had them do that. And the other thing that they can do is once they start playing is they can revert to biting the reed.
And that's the cardinal sin, is biting the reed.
So it's not just me. I'm not the only one that says this.
To avoid this, when I was younger, I had a terrible biting problem. So what you do is, with the biting problem, you solve it by playing a number 5 reed. And then if it continues, then you go to a number 6 reed if they had them.
And you clip the number 5.
Right, and it never gets better. So I'll tell you a little story. Once I was lying in bed sick with pneumonia. The other principal clarinet player in the orchestra was in the hospital having diverticulitis surgery. And I lay there in the bed and thought, I've got to come back next week and play principal clarinet on the Tchaikovsky Fifth Symphony, which opens with a tiring, long drink of water. So I thought, I've got to do something that works all the time, and I don't want to bite. And it takes courage, because if you do it, the notes will speak. And what I do is I lay the reed on the bottom lip, and sometimes I breathe through my nose just to make sure it's not pinching up. But what I always do if I have a chance is I press the clarinet down on the bottom lip and then breathe from the top. And it's like a French horn player presses the mouthpiece and breathes from the bottom. But that's because that's the way the instrument's played. I find that if you breathe from the top, you don't bite. Mm-hmm. And the attacks are always the same. Nothing moves when you do that, and it's no big deal. It's like setting your diaphragm with the crunches. You set it and it works.
And you know, I just realized how rude I was at the beginning, because I didn't explain that you're associate principal in Pittsburgh Symphony for 50 years.
Right.
So when he says in the I play Tchaikovsky's Fifth in the symphony, that's what Tommy's talking about. And and you've been teaching at Carnegie Mellon for,
I think, 35 years.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, we're all tremendously fond of you, Tommy. We've all learned a ton. And that was the main thing that I wanted to make sure, because I was going to do a video about the Tommy Thompson drill, and I thought, well, how arrogant of me! I could have the Tommy Thompson.
Right.
And so you're my first guest.
Well, that's just wonderful. I'm proud to be a guest. Now, what I have discovered something. If I could go on a little bit with this. There's a thing that kids play with called silly putty. You know, they make them. That was an accident. It didn't start out as silly putty. The person who invented it was looking for something else and ended up with silly putty, which made millions of dollars on. And so when I was a freshman in college, I went to Memphis State University. It's now University of Memphis. They had a very good music department, and I thought, if I'll get in this practice room and practice an exercise that I'd get my fingers going faster and stronger. So I thought of what to do. I would start with a low A flat on the clarinet and play A flat G, da 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 da, and then A, F G, F G, F G, F G, and E G, E G, E G, E G, F sharp G, F sharp G, F sharp. Would you demonstrate that for me?
So just like one note at a time.
Da 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 da.
air circles.
It's great.
Yeah.
But so you'll start feeling a burning sensation about, a few seconds into it. That's your muscles building, and then you don't do it every day, you do it every other day,
Yeah.
so that they have time to send the signal to strengthen. And then you don't alternate fingers. You do it with the right hand and then with the left hand.
Yeah.
And then what this is a way of solving the age-old problem of, do you like to play long tones? Nobody likes to play long tones. But this is long tones just wiggling your fingers.
Yeah.
And it works because it controls your air. When you do it, you get the airstream focused. And that's the whole secret, it's the focus.
Thanks for reminding me about that. Students, we're going to be doing that next week. So before I forget, and before we totally leave the Airstream drill, I love this drill because it fixes so many things without realizing they're being fixed.
Right.
Because when you do the drill with no reed, there's no biting. There's no way to bite because there's nothing to bite.
Right.
So you get the feeling for what it's like to have an embouchure that's relatively passive. And students who are in the habit of changing the fingers and then supporting the air, they want to make sure they've got the right note before they commit to it. Blowing straight through with no reed is a great drill for committing across a legato interval and not waiting and then pushing.
Right.
And it also makes you focus there. The double tongue drill that I sent you that video, it's a little bit the same thing, but the thing that's crucial is being able to control the airstream with the back of the tongue, leaving the front of your tongue free to shape the oral cavity without disrupting your airstream. That way you can change the intonation, you can change the color, you can change dynamics, but you don't have to lose the ring in the sound.
And a lot of teachers mistakenly say, open your throat. And everybody knows that your throat's what gets sore in the winter when you get the flu and cold. You don't open your throat. Raise the soft palate in the back of your mouth. And the way to get to do that without thinking too much is just raise your eyebrows. Now, I came upon this by accident when I was practicing. I had a picture in my studio of Robert Marcellus, who was one of my teachers. And beautiful picture of the clarinet embouchure. And I looked one day and I thought, his eyes are so open. What is he doing? Oh, he must be something wrong. I think I'll try it. And then I did it, opened my eyes, raised your eyebrows, and that creates this oral cavity that you want. And it was all from a mistake. I thought Marcellus had done this for some covert reason that he wouldn't tell us.
Yeah.
He just played that way.
Yeah.
So, don't always do exactly what you're told, or at least be open to differences.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. I think when I started making the most progress I did studying with Bill was when I started studying him like a bug. And and I would watch and I'd listen and I'd try and imagine what it must feel like. And come up with something that worked for me. So the YouTube analytics tell me that most people are good for about 3 minutes, and we've gone on a bit longer than that. But I hope everybody gets the gist of this drill, which I think is very important. It works.
If it works, do it. If it doesn't, be open for change.
Yeah, and I think that's as good a way to stop as any. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, Jack.